So today I guess there is some request of transmissions. So I would give those transmissions. So can I have the text, Jim? Which yesterday there was some trauma and then some terkadundu. You're printing downstairs. Okay, that's fine. All right. So first of all, let's all do a prayer. When you do prayer, it's very important to generate altruistic motivation, Bodhichitta mind, that for yourself and for all beings. As I said, there is no refuge without Bodhichitta. You can't possibly have any refuge without Bodhichitta. Refuge is part of the Bodhichitta. So therefore, Bodhichitta is compassion to oneself, and it includes both oneself and others. No one is left. So your prayer should be to come out of the three poison, which is ignorance, aggression, and attachment, because they are the one which keeps binded us in samsara. And not only yourself, but all beings are binded by those three kinds of mind. So therefore, you take Bodhichitta mind by hearing the Dharma and by practicing the Dharma, that may I benefit all beings, and of course including yourself, to receive the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That is the prayer. Nozi nam taraji nurupe, taji jojo shina shupayi, sangi chutangi du papa. Kuna chase, dacha tashi sho, dime gyabo setenturu. Jempe nyempe kata padamba, kuna gumpa jojo dopache, rumpo tarpa sarapa. Simche tamche la gungta pepe, yizam zepa serap tapalte, tsansam tepe tashi. Devar shipa gyala, chasalo, jempe shuno patentu. Chere ziwa gumbo jambebe sayi nyambo driba nambrase, namge nyambo pachakundu. Ube duji peka lushinda, nubo dawa riti nyamayi, chasayla namtashibe. Chanjo semba gyala chasalo, rinjin danjo tashizir. Dudjom buza yung kamala, nyanda dunda bunza bebe. Minu geze wanjiro kolote, rinjin dajo jigi chadenche, chudu yewa chujingiche. Gizongo timbe bebe tashi lamun gela chasalo sangba chimbo de jungsim migdonan dangel bo yurgursung page bodan namde se lase kolo dang tishula dang hungdu biwang de chuden gezenze sasumne su gelek tashi be jide kywa gela chasalo daja dingdir chawas gedan yawar tsawa kunjini dudun bebe samdu yijin drup Trashi dele busum so paraisho. Jumnende para gumbo jizun jambe yana cha zalo kangi lude dimite yidanam taras. Chingi dungu jizun ziji nike duga lebamze, ganda zebe zora mare mundam dungu jiz. Rosa gona puji da ze yana tuji yandan so, dudraja do nyumo nyaro, lega jiru. Marik muse dungre nyungu chingi jose ratinam, dune saji saji. Indenu se gyase tewe ku, judajin deju. Dalu munser jampriyana de umarabzana de mun. Umarabzana de marabzana de marabzana de marabzana de marabzana de marabana de marabzana 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 de marabana de marabzana de marabzana de marabzana de umarabzana de marabzana de marabzana de umarabzana de kurum de jaji shingi pa ubedana sharabret. Lebazame jame chukiku gumbo jambe yana chasa. Konse tabar de baham chungse tiwardun. Gumbo jame di keme pariyan tongwarsho. Konse tabar de baham chungse tiwardun. Gumbo jame keme pariyan tongwarsho. Konse tabar de baham chungse tiwardun. Gumbo jame di keme pariyan tongwarsho. Okay.
7-9 prayer.
All right.
This is the trauma offering, that we call it.
Terkadundu. Yeah, where is that? Okay. There's been request of some transmission today on, though you have received last time when His Holiness was here, the empowerment on Terkadundu, and you got, which is the Lama Yidam and Takini, and then you also got the empowerment on Krodakali, Takini Krodakali, which is Tramanagmo, and then what else at that time? And then Vajikilaya practice, 3 empowerments. Now basically, let me phrase back a little bit, before I give the transmission today, put me a little bit, phrase back the background, what it is about. Historical Buddha, after he achieved enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, he turned the wheel of Dharma, or in other words, he gave the teaching 3 times. First teaching after his enlightenment, he gave in Sarnath, which is in the state of Uttar Pradesh in India today, Banaras, very, very ancient city. It's one of the most ancient cities in the world. They say could be goes beyond 5,000 years. Very, very, when you go there, you feel it. You can't miss it. And it's quite an extraordinary place. If you ever visit India, you should go to Banaras. There's the Ganges and the tradition which has been going for the last thousands of years, still pretty much present in the old city of Banaras, including where the river Ganges flows, and then all on the ghats, they call ghats, where the cremation of the body. So when you take an abode, there you see the bodies are burned on the beaches, and some bodies are flowing in the river. It's quite overwhelming senses. And so this ancient tradition in the Hindu tradition, as well as in the Buddhist tradition, they cremate the body when somebody dies. So anyway, very old city. So when Buddha, after he achieved enlightenment, he turned the wheel of Dharma, the first teaching called Four Noble Truths. There's the fundamental teaching of Buddhism, Four Noble Truths. In that, Buddha said, after the first very sermon, teaching he gave, he said, understand suffering or recognize suffering. And of course, we can all know about, to abbreviate the whole thing about suffering, there are 3 kinds. There are so many suffering, but if we just abbreviate all suffering, it comes into 3 categories. Suffering upon suffering, change of suffering, and conditional suffering. The 3 kinds of suffering includes all kinds of nature of suffering. And it is important for Buddha to speak about the very first word to say, understand the suffering, because the cause of our suffering, cause of our being stuck in a place where we feel stuck, what is that cause is suffering. So Buddha has to first address the real cause. When you go to a doctor, the doctor tells you, yes, you have, immune problem, or you have autoimmune, or you have cancer in your stomach, or you have eye problem. That's the first thing the doctor has to tell us. Doctor cannot just like fanciful say, oh, you're perfect. That wouldn't help the patient. When the patient goes, the first thing the doctor has to be very truthful. Yes, this is your problem, and now for that, if you want to be free from this particular ailment, you have to do this treatment. Whether it's how your diet should be, or how your, medicine, at what time, and what food you should avoid, and what food you should take. That is really the truth. So here, Buddha's, the first teaching, beings who are stuck in this samsara, means in the cycle, the mind cycle of suffering, he said, understand suffering. First, accept suffering. Like if you have problem, you accept that. That is my problem, and now I got to get treatment or get rid of that. Then after the second truth, I don't want to elaborate all kinds of suffering, just like very briefly, we have suffering upon suffering. Suffering upon suffering is, you have a stomach problem, and then you trip and break your leg. So that's like suffering upon suffering. And I have a quite good experience that myself, of course, many times, but one time quite obvious. When I first came to America, in 1989 or 1990, I was in Boston in a mall, and I ordered some tea, and my friend who was with me, I said, I'm going to the bathroom to look after my briefcase. There was no sitting place, I was standing. So when I came back, my briefcase was stolen, So then, my friends got really, I'm so sorry, I said, what to do? It's gone, it's gone. There's nothing we can do. Let go. But of course, it was painful. I have my mala, my purba, and sacred relics, and many things, So I said, now what can we do? It's gone, really. But it was painful. Then we have car at the park. There was a ticket on the car. I said, this is called suffering upon suffering. So, suffering upon suffering. So we all go through in our life like that, you see. And including animals. They also know suffering upon suffering. They may have a pain and they feel like in a hot sun, and they go to shade. They go try to avoid that suffering. So suffering upon suffering, every being goes through that. Then change of suffering. You go to a party and then you eat so good food, and then you get sick the next day. It turned into suffering. Or, some food didn't suit you, and that turned into suffering. Or some other circumstance, something, moment it was wonderful, then that didn't turn out well, that situation. Change of suffering that every being goes through. Now there's one thing called conditional suffering. As far as suffering upon suffering and change of suffering, we all beings go through as long as there's a conscious. Being means someone who is conscious, animate and inanimate, conscious and those who don't hold conscious. Any conscious being, someone with the mind, consciousness, have the awareness, knowing good, bad, pain, pleasure, all those things. So any being who has sentient being has that, those three kinds of suffering. Those who are not enlightened have that three kinds of suffering. So therefore, the change of suffering and the suffering upon, even animals also know that, how to avoid that. When they have a pain, regardless, they may have something bone stuck, they try to get rid of that, whatever. So these two. But now there's the third level called suffering, a conditional suffering. That only human being, very high intelligence, though we all have the same consciousness, same mind, whether we are dogs or whether we are humans, or every being sentient has, tried to avoid suffering, try to achieve happiness. Very clear. You can see that even among dogs, animals, creatures, spider. You see a spider and you make a thumb noise, it will stop. Why? It's afraid. You want to avoid the danger. That's the reason why it stopped and try to run away. Try to find a secure place, a protection. That's the whole reason. The great Sakya Pandita, he said, why do you think the little ant is going here and there? Because it thinks it will find happiness. That's the only reason. There's no other reason than that. So we all seek happiness, try to avoid suffering. But then we all, there's, stuck somewhere. And that very third level of suffering, the conditional suffering, animals don't have the capacity to know that. They have the potential as far as a consciousness, but in that particular body, in that vehicle, they don't have the potential. Only human can have reflections, introspection. Animals don't know that, have the depth to introspect things. The human have the ability to introspect, and they can know good and bad. So therefore, now that conditional suffering, I think is very important. Until a person realizes the conditional suffering, one would not have the inspiration to get out of this cycle. One doesn't see the possibility to how to get out of this suffering. That is exactly the main thing that Buddha is trying to do out of Four Noble Truths. That when he emphasizes that understand suffering means, is called a sense of nausea. You need a sense of nausea to suffering and the cause of suffering now, which is second noble truth. In the second noble truth, Buddha said, if there is suffering, there's a cause. Suffering does not happen without a cause. It's not pure incident out of the blue, suffering just happens to you. There's a cause and effect. So what is the cause of the suffering then? The cause of the suffering is ignorance, aggression, anger, and attachment. The three root poison is called. Out of that, then comes the 5 passion. Then it says 84,000 passion. I think there is limitless passion. I mean, what we think and what we don't think. How do you define that? There is no end to what you imagine and what you can't imagine, isn't it? With this art is the sky the limit. So out of neurosis is sky the limit. What you would think, what you would not think, and all kinds of infinite ways how passions and neurosis manifest. So therefore, that suffering, the cause of suffering, when we have suffering, there has to be a cause. It just didn't happen to us out of the blue. The cause really is the afflictive emotion. Cause is ignorance and afflictive emotion. There's no one else giving us the suffering. You're not your parents, not your family, not the world, not a demon, not a Satan, nobody. In fact, if you get anger to a Satan, that itself is, you project something called Satan. And then you get angry to that. That it is itself the demon, actually. That anger itself. You hide the demon inside you and look for demon outside. There's a saying in the certain spiritual tradition. There is one make effigy. There's a certain tantric ritual, and someone is being harmed by a certain force. You try to remove that through certain ceremonies. So it is said that if the force, negative force is on the eastern direction, you try to do the ceremony on the western direction, it's completely have no meaning. Same thing, we keep the demon of anger within us and try to see something to kill that. That's how confused we are. You see, so really these three are called poison. The reason is, if you take poison, it's fatal thing. Same thing, if you engage in afflictive emotion and neurosis, it brings us suffering, and you end up in an endless cycle of suffering comes into your life. So therefore, the truth, suffering of the truth, and suffering of the origin of truth, which is the cause of that suffering, are the three poison Buddhas. So therefore, it is called noble because it's not that Buddha have created a truth by his just an idea. It's a ground reality. Buddha didn't make anything else. He just spoke in the truth. There is suffering. Now understand the cause of suffering, which is afflictive emotions. And so if you want to stop the suffering, you need to close the door to the afflictive emotion. That was the message Buddha was trying to say. Then you find liberation, which is nirvana. There can be no liberation until you work with that. So many teachings has been written and given, after that, after Buddha's teaching, then later the teachings of Mahayana, then the teachings of Vajrayana, so many teachings spread from that Four Noble Truth teaching. So now, just to slightly, for example, give you an example of a conditional suffering. Conditional suffering, it is said that, I didn't want to sound bleak, but I just have to say, what I think, right? Otherwise it wouldn't be fair. So, good thing we're in America, land of free. You have a freedom of thought, you can say what you like. There's no prosecution, it's a land of free. Really, it's true, it's one of the greatest countries in the world. If you're in certain countries, a communist country or like that, most Americans don't have much idea, but you can't really have a freedom of speech. Maybe you can think inside, but you can't say. But here you can say, you have the liberty to say. So anyway, conditional suffering, even the present pleasurable things are cause of suffering, at some point or another. That is where you really see, wow. Then what do I do? That question comes next. If we look into our own, each and every person, when we look into our own life, how many ups and downs into our life? Things that you think, it'll be like forever, something wonderful, quite didn't turn out to be that way. If you look at your own body, that you care about so much, that, we put all kinds of cream and anti-aging cream and all kinds of things. And even you go to spend cosmetic surgery, spend 100,000 or 10,000 or whatever, but then again, after a few years, it goes away, and again you got to do. You see, no matter what you do, it all ends up in a really like a futile situation. And that's on many different levels we are getting, and we're being smacked all the time. We feel that. You try to work hard, your friends and families, they don't get satisfied no matter how much you make effort. I'm not saying, that I'm just putting a general presentation. Of course, specific, they are always different. However, so much challenges, everything almost we turn into at the end, how many times our relationship changes, how many times you make effort in your mean, and doesn't mean that you make effort also is been right. Sometimes what you think is not right too, because you are caught in your own, perhaps your predominant neurosis is anger. You see everything through the periscope of anger, and anger's habits, anger leads, it's not that one neurosis is just there. We have 5 passions. So sometimes jealousy can lead to anger. Anger can lead to murder. A lot of things happen. As a country, there's been wars, like Troy, for a queen, there have been wars. So many people died. That jealousy, stroke, so many things, one thing leads to another. Same thing happening in our own personal life. How many things that we thought, now this is it, but it didn't happen that way. At the end, it all turned into, as a samsaric nature, it's almost like everything we touch becomes shit, so to speak. Really, that's sorry to say that, but that's quite, that's how it is. It's like a fly in a toilet, So that's how samsara is. And yet, we are so attached to it. unfortunately. Yet we just keep doing the same thing, repeating the same thing, going after the same thing, engaging of the same thing, and being smacked back again and again and again. We complain, we scratch our head, and we live in that state. That's pathetic lifestyle, isn't it? Really, that's our condition right now, in many ways. We complain, and we just live. We have no solution. We live like just don't know. Then we say, oh God, help me. Oh Buddha, help me. Oh, whatever. You go through a difficult life situation, but there's no method how to get out of it. So, that's the danger. Samsara is like an endless pit, and whoever gets more attached cannot expect liberation and happiness out of that. One is just caught up in that vicious cycle. Not only is a cycle, it's a vicious cycle which produces suffering a lot with the cause of that ignorance and three poison within our mind. Now we need to, if we have to change that suffering, the answer is not outside, answer is in our mind. One thing, if the anger is in your mind, jealousy is in your mind, ignorance is in your mind, then the answer is also in your mind. Answer is not outside of your mind. Answer is in your mind. That is the reason why Buddha said, understand the suffering and understand the cause of suffering. So just simply understand the cause of suffering, if you just, okay, I heard the teaching, if you don't put that into practice, nothing will happen. So when you see the danger, like when you go to like State Department, put warning signs, certain, don't go to Afghanistan, don't go to Iraq, sign. This is similar. If you engage in your aggression and neurosis, you should expect danger coming on your way. There's harms on your way. There's no, smoothness and safety, but there's harms on the way. And that is one of the reasons why, like when we look at Shantideva's Mahayana teaching, Shantideva said, those who have the compassion and bodhicitta, that is like the escort on the harm's way. Like if you go through like a very harm's way, dangerous place like Iraq or Afghanistan or some place like that today, then you would need a bodyguards. You need to hire militias, whatever, and then have an escort to go through, to travel through those countries. Same thing, when you go through the, let's say, through the place of neurosis, so much turbulence, so much neurosis, how can you go through that? Because you will be constantly challenged, constantly thrown, those neuroses thrown back at you. You need bodhicitta. If you have bodhicitta, that will protect you. He said, bodhicitta is the mind which is, like the escort to go through the field of neurosis without being affected by yourself. Also, there is so amazing examples in the Bodhichara Avatar teaching. If the whole land is covered, let's say, with a field of thorns, Thron, thorns, then, if you try to cover the whole field, let's say like 30,000 hectares, 30,000 hectares with some concrete, of course, that'll be impossible to do that. Or, you cover with some tarpaulin or some, something. It's impossible. But what the skillful mean is, you just wear a good cowboy shoes or some good shoes, then no matter how much thorn is there, nothing will affect you. Same thing, when you have the bodhicitta, when you cross the field of neurosis, that it will protect you from all those danger, man. That's why Bodhichitta mind, Shantideva said, is the escort of all being, is the friends of all being, is the healer of all being, so you get protected and you get others protected. That's why Bodhichitta mind is so important, the heart of the practice of Buddhism. So, something like that. Condition, the second noble truth. Then, once you see the second noble truth, the first two noble truths are relative teaching. Then the third noble truth is the absolute teaching. The reason relative teaching means it's a convention. You see conditions, life situation, conditions, suffering. But now finally, how do I get rid of all of them? How do I really get rid of this whole thing, this cycle? And how do I get rid of the cause? Then, you need, from the Mahayana point of view, you need bodhicitta. From the Hinayana point of view, it is said self-salvation, self-liberation, where you get really, I'm sick and tired of this cycle of samsara, that how I engage myself, in neurosis, being a slave of the neurosis for so long, and yet I'm continuing this. And if I continue further, where else place can I expect rather than a place of suffering? So I have to do something. And therefore, in that in a particular tradition of Hinayana, then one would take layman's vows or monk's vow or nun vow or something like that. Or you just commit yourself in your mind, from today on, I will not kill beings, or I will not lie. Something like that. According to what you can do, you make one strong, firm commitment that I will not harm beings, because harming being, first of all, one thing leads to many. So if you stop one thing, it will stop many other negative things. That's the reason called Patimoksha vows. So from today on, I will not harm many beings. Generally Dharma, in the entire Hinayana teachings, where there's so many levels of teaching, but just sums it up, the entire Hinayana teaching: do not harm beings. That's very important. Directly, indirectly, whatever way, you should not harm beings. If you do that, then you kept that quality of the entire principles of the Hinayana teaching. Then Mahayana teaching benefit beings. Now, when you benefit beings, the early teaching of Hinayana is already included in benefiting. When you benefit someone, not harming is naturally included. But in not harming, benefiting is not particularly included. Benefiting yourself is included, but benefiting others is not included. Therefore, Mahayana principle is a larger mind. Maha means great beings, means you think of all beings, including on that ship, not just yourself. So therefore, Bodhichitta mind becomes so precious and profound from the Mahayana point of view. So when you have concern that, like myself, all being wants happening, all being want happiness. Like myself, nobody wants suffering. So then when you have the deeply, and the way you start that practice is learning about compassion, is through your parents, your father and mother, who brought you to this world. If your father and mother didn't like you, you wouldn't be here today. You may be thrown in a garbage, or you may be, not here. No matter what, they are not perfect beings. However, they brought you, they made you grow up, they give that support. And so therefore, you think, my kind parents being, because of that, I have this human body. Precious human condition. Human body means precious conditions. Extraordinary condition compared to a dog or a spider or some animal. So this, endowed with this precious quality that I can think, I can discriminative awareness, I can introspect, I can reflect, and I can see the cause now today, because of my parents, I got this precious human body. I can hear the Dharma, and I can really see, and I can do something to others, not only myself, the Mahayana way. Then that is very precious. Then in that way, you feel like gratitude to your parents. My kind mother, especially the mother, when you look back, who hold me in her womb for 9 months, or whatever. 9 months is the general month, but some 10 months, whatever. But all those months, going through all the pain, where it's hot, cold, always thinking of me. And then after the birth is given to me, then how many nights she lost sleep. I asked some of my students, those who have children, I said, how is it? You lose sleep for how long? Almost like a few years, not much sleep. How can you sleep? If the baby is crying, you just care about the baby more than anybody else. It's it's called like a maiden's hair caught on fire. If your hair is caught on fire, you will not think any second thought. You will just, try to get rid of that right away. Same thing, when the child is crying, child in some pain, mother jumps there day or night without any concern for her losing sleep or whatever. She's ready to give her life. That is what our mother has gone through. Each and every one of us mother gone through. And then father also there taking care. So you see, and now when we grow up, for that gratitude, we must do something at least. At least take off, it's a wonderful, there's some wonderful things and not wonderful thing in the West. Wonderful thing is there's Mother's Day and Father's Day. That's very good. And people go and spend a few days with their parents. But then not wonderful thing is, oh, I survived my mother for 3 days. I think that's pretty shameful to say, actually. But there she has been for day and night for so many years and no sleep. And now here we make a big deal. 3 days I survived my mother. That's not very compassionate, not very wise. So we really have to look at those perspectives, because they did that thing very real to you. And so then, now, the least way you can benefit your parents is really comfort them, give them some love, respect and caring. I think that's the least thing one can do. And of course, the greatest thing you can show the way to liberation. That is, unless you yourself have no practice, you can't do that. And the gratitude, the parents are not easy. The debt is heavy. You see, karmic debt, there's a debt for what she has gone through, all the pain she's endured for you. It's not easy to pay back. If the children do not pay back that well to their parents, later they themselves will go through a lot of pain in your life. That karmic consequence, cause and effect, you will yourself go through a lot of, your children may treat you the same way. Or, if there is nothing, then there is some problem, or one way or another, or different ways. There will be a lot of consequence. So therefore, caring, not only we learn compassion to all beings, the way we should learn, starting with our parents. It's not just should be limited to parents, but to all beings. Always caring, respect, and concern is very, very important. And we learn that through the practice, through seeing the kind parents being. Shakyamuni Buddha has to go to the 33 heavenly realms to give teaching, because his mother was born there, and he went to give teaching to his mother. And then by giving the teaching, finding a liberation out of this cycle. So even Buddhas have to do that. And let's not, we have so much karma, each and every one of us. We must really show some caring to our parents. Make an extra effort, spend a few days whenever they need. Try to do something. You will be happy, because your debts get lighter on your shoulder. Otherwise, that debts remain heavy on you. And that is, I think, very important, that how we learn Bodhichitta. His son, Dalai Lama, says that he learned his compassion from his mother. Because you see, compassion in a way is not something reserved in a spiritual tradition. We call spiritual tradition sacred and regular not sacred, because it's really, in spiritual tradition, you try to bring all the goodness. It's nothing actually more than focusing to your goodness And we see our ordinary life means we think spiritual life is not ordinary life. It's something either super mundane or some spiritual, special. And what? Our ordinary life is just shit? Actually, ordinary life should be this spiritual life. Because it's in your heart. It's in fact, His Holiness Dalai Lama said that he learned compassion from his mother because, the mother has a natural instinct to take care of the child, which is like really the compassion. She has a natural sense of caring and openness and unconditional in relating to the child. So therefore, one learns compassion is like within our hearts, whether it's a biological or whether it's emotional state. It's really the heart of the matter. We all want to be happy. How can we achieve that happiness? Through good heart, not through bad heart, not through mean heart, not through negative things, through positive actions. So therefore, this is very important. You all, as a Dharma practitioner, you must, as a person, or particularly as a Dharma practitioner, we should make more effort, knowing the dangers and benefit, a good heart, a compassionate attitude, and caring, and bodhicitta mind more than ever. And if we need to reflect on that, and today is like, for example, full moon. On a full moon is a day, very powerful day. On a full moon, one reflects one's mind. For example, on a full moon, in the Bodhisattva practitioner, they look at how much transgression has been there, how much lacking in my compassion, how much lacking in my relationship, in how I dealt with situation. One reflect that. And if you find like, falling down from your bodhicitta, then you take confession. And then you take vow back. And then you say, you bring the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Avalokiteshvara, then Tara, Manjushri, all the great Bodhisattvas, or generally Buddhas, enlightened beings, where they have committed to benefit all beings, are like also, today take the strength and, in their presence, I also take the vow of commitment, reaffirm my bodhicitta. And then at the end, there's a whole ceremony, actually, a very beautiful ceremony. Next time when I come, I will teach you the whole ceremony. But I think it's very important how to renew and repair our transgression from the bodhicitta mind. I think this is really very important. And let me tell you, when I was in Nepal many, many years ago, I would go on full moon or special day to Swayambhudnath Stupa, which is a very, very special. Stupa represents the mind of the Buddha. And is regarded, that stupa, very special. So when I don't feel good, which is probably the experience of my afflictive emotions, then I go and take a vow of bodhicitta. And after that, I feel relief. You see, it's so powerful mind when you take the bodhicitta. So then at the end of the ceremony, it says, now from today, the gods, the demigods, the humans, in the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, I've taken a vow of good heart, bodhicitta mind. And now you are all my guests, it is said. You see, the proclamation in your mind you make in the ceremony reading. From now, today, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witness, I've taken the vow of bodhicitta to benefit all beings, and you all, gods, demigods, humans and all, you are my guest, In fact, when your heart is even deeper, for example, sometimes I used to think, if I can take the karma of entire beings, infinite being there, and take all the bad karma on myself, and supposing I go to, the result of that, I go to hell realm, And if all beings are out of that, how wonderful that will be. You know, I mean, it's not possible that can happen, because you see, in fact, if you ever thought like that, it will even melt all your negative karmas more. You know, but the result, we should have, like, when we practice on compassion, you genuinely see the suffering all being and tears coming out of your eyes. That much you feel emotionally in your heart when you practice Bodhichitta mind. Otherwise, you know, just like on the surface, okay, I take refuge, I take Bodhichitta, and just like, you know, it's like a half-baked bread. It's not going to do much. In fact, you will have problem. Diarrhea, you will have eating, so spiritual diarrhea. You will have transgression, which are called transgressions. So therefore, really we need to think as a practitioner, this is the core of the practice. Then as the practice goes deeper, you know, Hinayana practice, then Mahayana Bodhichitta, then now it's come to the third level, is Tantric practice, where today I'm giving transmission on the Terkadundu and Tramanagmu. Now Tantric, what is the difference generally between Sutra and Tantra? One is called the causal path and one is called the resultant path. Causal path deals with impure phenomena, such as, you know, when we look at our body, which is very fragile, which is susceptible to all kinds of problems, sickness, and old age, the four major suffering of humans: birth, old age, suffering, and death. You know, the four major suffering of human. We all fear death, we all fear sickness, we all fear old age, you know, and then the pain of birth. So four major suffering, and of course there are many other suffering. So that is impure. That's not pure. You're subjected to conditions of suffering, because this body is a conditioned body. Due is the birth of, you know, karma. A birth of course there is a high positive karma that you are born as a human being, but still there is negative karma, still born in a fragile state of situation, which can be susceptible to old age, death, sickness, everything, which is impure phenomena generally. In particular, yes, we can say a more special body than animals and dogs, because we have reflection, we can, you know, it's a high intelligent body. Especially for enlightenment, this body is the most special body. It is said that even in the, like God's realm, we are not talking about the God's realm described in Christianity and Judaism, but here the God's realm, a state of being, like, you know, so rich, and powerful, even they also, you know, decay, and once their karma is over, they falls down. So, and of course we are same condition. However, as a human being, we know maximum we will live is 100 years. Very few people live 100 years. Most of us in this room probably around 1890, you know, then we know there's not much time left. So then, you know, especially now when, you know, when I was young, when I was 14 or 15, time never goes. You know, I wish I'm a little older. But once you cross 30, 40, 50, it's going faster than the speed of light. I feel my life is going so fast. And I'm seeing now not much time is left actually, you know. There's limited time. Maybe another 20 years. Maybe 30 years, you know, not much time. It's truth. Everyone is born has to die. No one can live. That's a fact. It's a truth. So now there's a certain level of panic, right? I got to do something. You know, I can't, you know, just remain in this state of confusion or just allow, just like act like nothing is happening. Things are happening. A lot of strange things are happening. A lot of crazy things are happening. So I have to do something. So that sense of panic is a blessing, I think. You know, generally panic is not a good thing. But in the case, trying to awaken you from this deep sleep of ignorance is a great blessing. Then, you know, remind, now really I need to focus on bodhicitta. I really need to focus in dealing with my mind and my neurosis and to get out of that. Otherwise, all the negative karma, who will go through? Yourself. You cannot share your negative karma with other beings. Buddha said, the karmic consequence or the effect of our cause in each and every being will mature. It will not mature on the earth. It will not mature on the water. It will not mature in the mountain. It will not mature in the trees. It will mature on the body which your consciousness uphold. The body where your consciousness uphold, whatever our bodies are, that karmic experience comes on it, such as like when we have pain. When you have pain, your other family members or friends, they don't have the pain. It's only you going through that pain. If your stomach problem or whatever the problem, emotional problem, you're going through that particular problem. And of course, others are feeling that pain, but they're not feeling the same kind of pain what you're feeling. They have concern for you. But a specific pain that you go through is very personal to yourself. You see. So therefore, whatever karma we do, it really comes back on us. No, you cannot share that. You cannot give it to other people. Even it's good, you will experience. Even it's bad, you will experience. Therefore, you need to respect cause and effect. Very important. With compassion. So therefore, now, dealing with impure phenomena is called a causal vehicle. Now, when it's come to Tantra, when during Buddha's time, Tantra was not given until much later. Teaching of Hinayana, in fact, was the main teaching, Four Noble Truths. Then later, to extraordinary students, because Bodhichitta is extraordinary mind. Of course, it's inherent quality of your mind, but it's not many people see that. First of all, how many people have compassion? We all have lack of compassion, it's true. We think, oh, I'm a good person, but when you really look in your mind, full of neurosis. That's not considered good. I'm not saying that you're a bad person, If you're a bad person, you wouldn't even want to hear the Dharma at all. So that's not true. There are a lot of good people, but still a lot of good people with a lot of still bad things still stuck that they need to heal that, purify that. So therefore, now the impure phenomena, how we are trapped into it, and dealing through gradual level of practice is the Mahayana Sutra level. So Buddha gave gradual level of teaching. First he gave the Hinayana teaching, then he gave the Mahayana teaching. Then later, I think when he was 81 years old, 80, so not 80, sometime around 80, I don't remember exactly, then Buddha gave the Kali Chakra Tantra teaching. And you see, each one of these teaching, whether it's a Hinayana or Mahayana or Vajrayana, means deeper and deeper level of how to deal with our consciousness, has to, the situation has to create for the teaching to come. So the way tantric teaching came in this world, first of all, Buddha saw King Indra Bodhi. There was the King Indra Bodhi. I think in ancient time, there has been two Indra Bodhi historically, one in Afghanistan. Afghanistan, long time ago, it was Buddhism, completely Buddhism. You also know Bamiyan Buddha, which Taliban blew it up, number of years ago. It was all Buddhism. Pakistan was Buddhism. India was Buddhism. There was Hinduism also, but during Buddha's time after that, the whole track, there was a large teaching of Buddhism in those countries. Then those big Buddha, which was built in Bamiyan, I think it's probably built by the King Indra Bodhi's time. So it was said that at one time there were so many practitioners in Afghanistan that the entire place was emptied of samsara, all the beings achieve enlightenment. Now today, unfortunately, we see lack of compassion. Not that beings don't have bodhicitta, inherent nature inside, but due to some wrong views, anger seems to be, a lot of confused mind. Anyway, so therefore, So now in the, then when Buddha gave the, what inspired Buddha to give the teaching, then King Indra Bodhi invited Buddhas. And when he saw the Buddha and his followers, monk, their gentleness, their compassion, the king was so inspired. The king said, I'd like to invite the Buddha to my palace, invite him for a lunch. And then king invited Buddhas and his monks to the palace, offered them lunch. And then after, the king said, can you give me a teaching where I can also become a Buddha? Then Buddha said, yes. You renounce, you become a monk, give up your palace, give us the pleasures, and then you will, become Buddha. Then the king's reply was, this world is pleasurable. Even if I'm born into a jackal, I don't need an enlightenment that I have to give up Gautama. Gautama was Buddha's name. This world is so pleasurable that I don't want to give the pleasures of life. Even if I'm born as a jackal, that's fine. I don't want to give up my palace and pleasure. That is the king's answer to Buddha. Then at that time, when that was answered by the king, then Buddha immediately saw, because being a Buddha means fully awakened mind, but he has to create the right condition. And so then Buddha realized the capacity of King Indra Bodhi, very, really someone very highly developed. And then he saw him as the perfect vessel for Vajrayana teaching. Now then, here, earlier we were talking, the causal jnana path and the resultant path. Resultant path is your basic goodness, to put in one simple word, or qualities of basic goodness is omniscient. Qualities of basic goodness is absence of neurosis. That's mean a lot. Absence of neurosis, absence of obscurations, absence of all defilements, absence of duality. That's what's mean by basic goodness. Basic goodness doesn't mean that, oh, we are having a tea together. First you have my tea, drink as much as you like, then I can enjoy afterwards. That's not really basic goodness. That's like a small level of basic goodness. Tiny, tiny beginning, first baby step basic goodness. So anyway, then so having seen that, Buddha, that's what omniscient mind. Then now if you look, now it is said, how does in Hinayana practice one deals with passion? Passion and neurosis. How does in Mahayana teaching practice deals with passion and neurosis? How does in Vajrayana one deals with passion and neurosis? There has to be some different methods. Otherwise, what's the point of giving different level of teaching by Buddha? Some are, deeper, some are more deeper, some are very deep. So it is said that ordinary people, the example used, an ordinary person, when he or she sees a poison, will not even touch it, will get so scared. So he or she will throw that away, try to stay far away from that. So that is the Hinayana level of practice. In the Hinayana level of practice, passions and neurosis is seen as something fatal to oneself. Therefore, they try to stop the gate, and therefore they become monks and nuns or laymen practitioner. That is really the practice of the Hinayana practice. That's how they try to close the door of all the negativities from arising. And so, 10 virtues deed and 10 unvirtues. Practice 10 virtues deed, 10 stop and 10 unvirtues deed. So that is the practice of the Hinayana. A lot of emphasis put on discipline. That is the Hinayana practice. Now, Mahayana practice, This is, I'm just summing it up, okay? Now, Mahayana practice, how does a Mahayana practitioner deals with a poison? Mahayana practitioner is like a skilled patient, skilled pharmaceutical, skilled doctor. A skilled doctor would not throw the poison away, but rather certain poisons are used in medicine to make, for healing. They're extracted, they're put chemical together, and if you take a raw, it could harm you. But if you use it in the right method, how you compounded things, then it can benefit. The skill. So they don't throw it away, but they use it to how to benefit the being. That is, passion is not thrown away, but it doesn't say that raw passion is taken. But you know how to transform the passion. You know how to use that passion on the path or to greater good. That's the highest skill now, dealing with passion and neurosis. That's the Mahayana teaching. Now, for example, according to the Hinayana teaching, telling lie is completely transgression and negative thing. As a monk and nun, when they take a vows of not to lie, for example, one of those vows. Now, if you do take that literally, which is the Hinayana approach, I took a vow of not lying, I can't tell lie. And of course, it's very good. Lie is not good. But then in the Mahayana teaching, it says, if it benefits somebody else, then the lying can be benefit. So for example, if you see someone being chased by a gunman and comes to your home and tell you, please help me, protect me, hide me, and then you hide. Now what would a Hinayana person do? The gunman knocks the door. Have you seen that person? Yes, he's right hiding in my basement. Gunman goes, shoot the person, and the person may not like it, but I've really kept my Dharma well. You like to believe yourself, I did my Dharma well, I have not lied. Now in reality, did that help or did that harm? You see, that's how the teaching changes. Out of the 10 unvirtuous qualities, the 7s are permitted on the Bodhisattva, but the 3, 3 is even Bodhisattva cannot do. For example, napsim means you want to get something of others. That's the ultimate greed, not only but ultimate desire. The desire leads to greed. Not only something, a possession or whatever somebody has, you want that to yourself, which doesn't belong to you, and you want to be, it's mine and mine. Basically, when you go to plunder something, ravish something, there's no way to transform that even in the Bodhisattva practice. Nusim, to harm being, that are also not in the Bodhisattva. You cannot transform that mindset. Harm thought, to harm someone. There's no skillful way to, say which is the best way to harm. Shot it right away, or the American Indian way, which I call slow death and painful. Maybe. But of course, they're not good. Both of them are not good. So no harm way, harmful thought is not permitted, even in the Bodhisattva teaching. That is also not there. Then Lokpartawa, to say there is no cause and effect, there is no good, there is no bad, that completely nihilistic view, that is also not in the Bodhisattva, because it has no relationship with the nature of reality. So beside those 3, the 7s are permitted if it's really benefit the other being, because Bodhisattva path is others cherishing. Bodhicitta mind is others cherishing. Now let's really not get confused here, because when people talk about others cherishing, they say, oh, am I left around? So if I follow Bodhisattva path, where am I? You see, this ego has come with us for so long. It just stands in fact, it's interesting when we look into our life, every time, first thing pops, okay, what's for me? What's for me? Okay, what's for me? How I'm going to be treated? How I'm going to be done? Me, 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 me. This comes all the time, isn't it? No matter whatever we do, whether we're friends, oh, what's for me there? How am I treated? How am I related? This is the danger thing. You need to recognize this me has, when the me goes to so big, then later the worlds become paranoid. Paranoid is a result of too much me in ourselves. Too much self-cherishing, that you only think of yourself. You are self-centered, a narcissist, whatever the English words are, just too much consumed of yourself. You can't think of anything else. There's no space. There's no space to breathe. There's no place to let go. There's no place to heal. And then the world becomes paranoid. So therefore, lots of this me has come with us, for so many lifetimes, from our young age to adulthood, to day and night we're feeling, and then, more the people who have more ego, nobody feels comfortable. They themselves never feel happy and comfortable, and no people around them don't feel happy and comfortable. There's too much me in ourselves. We need to just be more relaxed, let go. And that's why practice of meditation becomes so important. Because it's very deep level. Meditation is not just tranquilizing your mind. It's just like really to take to a place of basic goodness. It's, free you from your neurosis and obscurations. So therefore, now talking about it, so now in Vajrayana, how does one deals with the, before I finish that, so out of 10 unvirtue state, 7s are permitted if it's for the benefit of being, without any one of your concern, but the 3 are never given permission, even on the Bodhisattva level. Then now it's come to Vajrayana level. Now in the Vajrayana level, it's called resultant path. There's a big difference. You need to hear that. Resultant vehicle. Causal vehicle, resultant vehicle. Causal vehicle relates with, impure phenomena and how to get rid of that. Of course, the vehicle is how to purify that, how to get rid of it. But basically, you're dealing in cause and effect world of cause and effect. Resultant level, now the whole game is different. It's called pure vision. It's called fundamental goodness, Buddha nature. Then, of course, in order to enter Vajrayana, you need Bodhisattva mind. Otherwise, it's not possible. One time I was with my abbot, a very great abbot who passed away, Dudjom Rinpoche. I asked Rinpoche, sometime Vajrayana, some student have problem on the path. Why is that? Is it because of lack of understanding of Bodhichitta? Is it exactly? Because you're supposed to have graduated now with compassion, so you should have immeasurable kindness, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable rejoice, immeasurable equanimity. All those things develop in your mind. Then you are a perfect vehicle for Vajrayana practice. When you have not really developed that, then you really get confused. What is pure vision? Because you have really not much inkling of pure vision. When you have lack of kindness, lack of compassion, lack of rejoice in others' happiness, instead of rejoice, we have a lot of jealousy. So how can we really think of Vajrayana when our mind is on a level like that? How can we understand pure vision? Really not possible. Unless you are with your guru all the time, and he just like constantly getting teaching. But that's not all the time. People have that opportunity all the time. And of course, one is to practice. And even if the teacher says you must practice, so many times we get lack of practice awareness. So it's really difficult, We need to. That's why every morning do Tonglen practice. Every morning do sitting practice. It's so important. You will reach there because it's your nature. Your nature is basic goodness, Buddha nature. You will reach there if you do that. But if you don't do it, it's like you do it for 1 or 2 days, then give up for like a week. And then you do for a week and give up for like, pass it on. I'm too busy doing this thing. I have to go to work. I have to go to, Then of course not possible. And today, as Soksir Rinpoche said, the biggest demon is computer. This Facebook, Twitters. We get so distracted. We try to poke our nose, our business into everybody's life business, on top of our own projection. We try to see what's happening this, what's doing this, and then get so much, into it. And of course, most of them bring either anger or something like that. There's not, so therefore it's a really big distraction. I'm not saying you should not use Facebook and things like that, but limit yourself. And perhaps not good idea, we must try to do that less, especially when you're doing a sitting practice in your morning. Just leave it away. Don't even touch. Nothing is more important at that time than working with your own mind, because they're all going to take your mind out of your mind and let you get distracted. That is the demon. Modern day demon is so don't see that as a perfect refuge. That will lead you to stage funny places in the future. So be careful. So you see so many distractions like that. Well, now I forgot what I'm saying. It's so powerful, the computer is. So pure phenomena and impure phenomena. Now, in the Vajrayana tradition, how does the Vajrayana tradition use the passion? It is said, now, early Hinayana, throw it away. Mahayana, use some, transmute some to you see what is beneficial. Now in Vajrayana, it says you don't throw away passion. With no passion, no wisdom, it is said. That is really the most powerful thing which is not really taught in any tradition. It doesn't mean that passion and neurosis itself is basic goodness. If passion and neurosis itself is basic goodness, then everyone is enlightened, right? We don't have to worry about it, but that's not the case. What it meant, the essence of the passions is shunyata, is emptiness, devoid of any inherent existence. Therefore, when you truly, at this point, without even analyzing the way the Mahayana level you used to do, you come to know the essence of the anger is wisdom. The essence of the jealousy is wisdom. Therefore, you don't throw it away, but you see the essence. Now, how do you do that? First, you have to develop all those Mahayana practice of infinite kindness, infinite compassion, infinite rejoice, infinite equanimity. Then you have to see the wisdom state of itself, Pajna Paramita. Now, just give you an example. When we talk about, there's no such thing as bad. Because if you say there's such thing as bad, as something solid and something so real and independent, there's no choice that we can be out of that. It's hopeless, right? It's hopeless. So now when you see, for example, anger, which is negative mind, all the teaching it says, anger is the most destructive emotion of all. It's the most negative of all the emotions. And it's the heaviest karma that one can create, a negative karma of all the emotions. So therefore we try to work a lot on how to get rid of anger. Now, and we all dislike anger. When we say anger, with anger management, there's even Hollywood make a movie called Anger Management. Even Hollywood knows. So, of course, Hollywood knows who is Hollywood. It's, you know, is a presentation of our mind, inner mind. You know, they put, if Hollywood tried to make something like space and outer space movie all the time, nothing to link with either anger or either desire or no one will be interested, huh? You know, we need all those things to make the movie interesting. You know, one time I went to there was, you know, in San Francisco, there was, I think, Buddhist movie festival. And I went to the movie, and there was this monk sitting most of the time. I thought, that's a very boring movie. You need to spice it up with passions and all this thing. So, of course, not boring in a sense, you know, if you see the nature, then of course there's, but just ordinarily for most people, just sitting, a person sitting 2 hours, you know, there's 5 minutes of talk. James Bond movie, yes, I'd like to go. So, anyway, so, without the development of that, how can we understand basic goodness? Without, as I earlier said, without infinite kindness, infinite compassion. That passion, compassion, I think this is a very powerful Latin word. Passion, there's a passion. I don't know what kam means in English, but in Tibetan, the great compassion. Nyingji is compassion, but Nyingji Chimpo means great compassion, which is as to link with Bodhichitta mind, because Bodhichitta mind and compassion is two different meanings. You know, so therefore, Nyingji Chimpo, Chanchugu Sim. So that has to comprise with Bodhichitta. So when people really have a deeper understanding of interdependence and the compassion, then it's become Bodhichitta. If you don't understand interdependent meaning well, you cannot understand what refuge means. You cannot understand what Bodhichitta means. As I said, there is no refuge without Bodhichitta. Lack of understanding and realization in Bodhichitta, then there is no refuge. One doesn't understand refuge. You know, then it's to say I'm a Buddhist, have not much understanding. Because the very word Buddha means awakened mind. So, and the Bodhichitta is awakened mind, quality, awakened mind. So now, therefore, for example, we are talking about anger before. There's no such thing as anger at itself when you really look. Now, how does anger arise? In order for anger to arise, there has to be a subject and object. Anger cannot just come out of blue just like that. It's a dependent, you know, subject and object. And a situation, some causes, something happen, keep repeating happening in your life with your environment, partners, friends, whatever. 1 time happened, 2 times happened, 3 times, then you really get angry. It didn't happen just like that for one, so many conditions, so many causes and conditions. Finally, the so-called anger just came. So many conditions, dependent, so many emotions and thoughts, independent relationship to each other. Then finally, the so-called anger came. Then you said, last time you tried to neglect me. Then second time, you didn't listen to me. Third time, you shame me in front of all my friends. Now I can't take it anymore. For example, you see, so many dependent thoughts, so many dependent emotions, so many dependent things. Finally, the rise of anger is there. There was no such thing as independent anger without depending on all those emotions and thoughts. Right? So now, if it's dependent, Nagarjuna says, if it's dependent, that means devoid of independence. Because therefore, emptiness makes sense. Because it's dependent. There can be no emptiness if it's not dependent origination. Very, very deep meaning. There can be no emptiness if it's not dependent. The fact that phenomena functions independent does mean that is emptiness. That is why emptiness is the, essence in reality there. So therefore you see there's no such thing as anger itself. It's rather an appearance due to all those factors, but in essence, because it's dependence, therefore it is devoid of independence. Its absence of its emptiness means. That's where the emptiness comes. Now when you have when you have a deep understanding of the dependent origination and emptiness, then when you come to now Vajrayana, now you're already supposed to have graduated, or at least you have half graduated, and now when you sit, you're sitting, that's why when we do purification, we're doing purification of all those obscurations which obscure the essence of shunyata. Now, of course, when we say shunyata, emptiness, doesn't mean nothingness. It's an indivisible state of appearance and emptiness. But that indivisible state, that is so deep, that it's hard for beginners to really get awakened into a quality, what is known as 5 Buddha families and 5 female Buddha families, or 5 wisdom state. Each passions, anger, jealousy, each one of them transmute into a wisdom state. Without that obscurations. You see how impure phenomena right now is like covering on that. Even impure phenomena can cover as much as it can, as much as it like, as much as it can give its best shot. But it cannot destroy emptiness because it's dependent. It can give its 100% shot, but it cannot shoot the absence of that state of emptiness. Because since it's dependent, therefore its nature is emptiness. So emptiness is uncompromised. That's why it's called unconditioned state. It has never been compromised in the past, it is not compromised in the present, and can never be compromised in the future. Therefore, that view is the truth view, So now, when one comes, now as on the Vajrayana path, now you're supposed to have purified so much obscuration, and now you're really seeing the indivisible quality of called Deity. Your primordial goodness now. Instead of that impure negative manifesting, you're supposed to have, and in fact that's where the Vajrayana empowerment is given. So you purify the obscuration of the body, obscuration of the speech, obscuration of the mind, and then obscuration, even the dualism of 3 body, speech and mind separation. That is also a dualism, even that is purified through the empowerment. And of course you have to practice to fully awaken into that. For example, in our dream, which is a subtle, who experiences dream is your mind. Who experiences daylight is your mind. Is your mind saying, this is my daytime experience? Is your mind saying, this is my nightlife dream going through? And you see in your dream all kinds of things. You see door, you see your body, you see your speech, you see this is my mind, how I felt in my dream. This is my friends, everyone. But in essence, it's just your mind speaking. In essence, then, there is no 3 thing, it's just your mind. But you see, we create so much habit, that we have put ourselves into so many compartments, and we're stuck in those compartments. That is called obscurations. So now in the tantric practice, Vajrayana practice, now the empowerment is given, whether it's Tomanagmo empowerment, or whether it's Vajrakalaya empowerment, and then you are told to visualize the deity. Now visualizing the deity, deity practice comprises bodhicitta. Since you already have a deeper understanding of shunyata, on the Mahayana level, now on the Vajrayana level, now you're told to fully try to bring that quality, not just like partially. So when you visualize, of course, it's not that, first day you practice Vajrayana, unless you are, being with a tremendous merit from the past, you can be enlightened in an instant. Otherwise, you have to practice. First it says there are 3 samadhis in the practice. Samadhi of thatness, samadhi of all arising, and heart syllable samadhi. Samadhi of emptiness. In the impure phenomena, there are 4 kinds of births in samsara, conditional births. Miraculous birth, humidity birth, eggs birth, and womb birth. We all womb birth, coming out of mothers. Then egg birth, chicken, and birds come out of egg birth. The humidity birds, I think, grows in humid environment. And then so many bacterials, those just burn out of instantaneous is called. Of course, there's element involved in that. So each 4 births are basically, that's how conditioned impure phenomenon is formed by these 4 stages. And so when we have to purify the 4 births, because awakened mind is to free from this trap of conditioned phenomena. So when you visualize emptiness, first of all, is it the samadhi of thatness. Samadhi of thatness, is called the word Om Som Bhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sum Bhava Shuddha Hang, Sanskrit word. May everything into emptiness. Of course, we try to, it's a fake emptiness, depends on the person. It's imagination emptiness, means the actual realization of emptiness versus trying to imagine emptiness is different. So most people at the beginning have to go through that, trying to imitate emptiness. This doesn't mean that it's wrong. One has to go through that. That's how you get into the stage. Like you think, right now you have so much clinging to all this phenomena, and you see, that these are dependent origins. In essence, they are all free, absence of any independence. Therefore, is emptiness. You say, Om Som Bhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sum Bhava Shuddha, may everything become emptiness. That's the samadhi of thatness. Tijiniki thing is in Tibetan. Kuntu nangwe singide. Now, your mind is not just mere empty. It's not nothingness. There's this awareness. That fundamental awareness is wisdom mind. Wisdom qualities, wisdom activity. Right now, due to our confused mind, we have mind with awareness, but all the expression of awareness become entangled with afflictive emotion and action of afflictive emotion. Due to action of afflictive emotion, then we fall down in samsara and we experience suffering. That's the very cause of that. It's all mind's game, in other words. So then, when you generate that state, then you generate primordial purity, is called. Then first is emptiness, then you create that primordial clarity. That clarity is not dualistic and passion and neurosis expression. It's a fundamental simply awareness, which is kuntu nangwa, means it appears, it does, all the wisdom, character, qualities, activities. So in that way, then kuntu nangwa thing is in, and then, which is the appearance, and the union. So here it's interesting, the samadhi is called 3 levels of samadhi. That is for someone, beginners, when they develop. So someone who is already developed is always the same. There is no 3 division. But let's put it that way. We need to, in order to break through our concrete, solidifying appearance, first we create emptiness. Out of emptiness, then we see primordial awareness. Now, union of that awareness and emptiness, it creates the compassionate activity called heart syllable mantra. is, from the heart syllable mantra, then a particular deity. In the case of trauma, you create trauma. In the case of Vajikilaya, you create Vajikilaya. In the case of Avalokeshvara, you create whatever the particular deity is, you manifest the deity. So each one of these stages purify those 4 births level. I think the first instance, emptiness, purify the instantaneous birth. Then the second one purifies the heat birth. Then third one purifies the egg, and then the womb birth. So each one of them have a meaning when you generate the deity through receiving empowerment. You cannot, it's essential to receive the empowerment of a particular deity. So then, once you create that, you see, even it could be named trauma, it could be named Vajikilaya, it could be named any deity, Chakra Sambhara, or Vajikilaya, or any particular deity, 8 Herukas, and Daka, Dakinis. But in essence, it's your primordial awareness. They're simply named like, John or Jim or Gail or like that, but in essence, they're all simply beings, awareness. So then through that particular deity, there's that, like if you need to develop compassion, then it's Avalokeshvara. If you need to develop wisdom, for example, then it's Manjushri practice. That each deity have quality, whether it's peaceful activity, increasing activity, magnetizing activity, or cutting through activity, each enlightened activity, which in our case is limited. We try to do purifying, we try to do increasing, we try to do magnetizing, we try to do cut through our egos or whatever, or our enemy. So you see, we do the same thing, but many times for the wrong reason. We do it wrong reason because fundamental confusion is there, so therefore it cannot see how to cut through that. For example, we do purification. In the true sense of purification is purifying all the obscuration of all being. When the deity generates the energy, purify obscurations of all being, body, speech, and mind. Here we try to purify, take ourselves nice bed, go to a spa, put all the makeup and vanity to show how beautiful I am and how strong I look. You see? This is how our mind goes. So now what can you expect? The result is a vanity with neurosis, suffering, jealousy. All this will come. Who look more beautiful? I look better. You look not, like that. Now in the case of increasing, we instead of increasing the knowledge and wisdom and benefit, there's limitation. Again is directed to wrong thing. Corporate, we saw 2008. The corporation greed is fundamentally meant to increase the wealth, but because of neurosis, everyone falls down. The whole country's economic fall down. That's how the wrong increasing quality is put in the wrongs. And we do that whether generally or individually, that's how the increasing quality goes down. Then magnetizing quality through seduction of all kinds. We first, we trap everyone, including ourselves, everyone again. Instead of benefiting being and oneself from liberation, it has turned into like a sour situation at the end. So we say sometimes, be careful what you wish for. That is the meaning, Then now instead of cutting through our ego, what we do, we make war, we hurt, we kill, and we do those things. So we're doing the same thing, but that's the enlightened activity and unenlightened activity, based one on ignorance, one on wisdom. That is how the difference is. So therefore, due to impure phenomena, one big trap in an impure phenomena existence, whether it's an emotional state, mental state, physical state. Once that root cause is purified, there is no longer impure phenomena. One is always in Buddha fields, for example. Because that's, so therefore, each one of these practice, there's very profound meaning. So when I come back, I will give a teaching on generating practice of the deity, which is important, how to do the Vajrayana practice. Now, however, seeing when we talk about how the passions, instead of throwing away, is used on the path, is by seeing the depthness of Mahayana principle, and then finally the basic goodness quality. Basic goodness is very, very deep. Called then the Rigpa, Dzogchen teaching is called Rigpa. But one should be careful, when one receives Dzogchen teaching, one has to go gradually, step by step. If one tries to receive Dzogchen teaching, sometimes too early, emphasize too early, without one's teacher seeing it, there is also a problem. The mind will kind of like think everything is just so empty, without truly practicing. And so therefore, Dzogchen teachings are, it is inherent quality, but they has to follow step by step. Otherwise, if it's done too early, and also the teacher has to be authentic, the tradition and the lineage, it's also risky there. So this, just like anything else, we have to tread the path very carefully. And one of the signs it says in the Dharma, when you hear Dharma practice, if your mind is getting more supple, more compassionate, hitting the spot of your aggression, then it's a good sign your Dharma practice is going good. If your mind is getting more neurotic, more ego, then it's not good. I see their problems sometimes, like some scholars. Some scholars, because the ego is so much, as I said, you may know a lot of things, but it's very hard to get rid of the I, rid of the me. And then they get like inflated with pride and ego. They think, oh, I know this, I know that, I know that. But the ego, the Dharma has not been applied well. Dharma has to be applied on your neurosis. Then you have really worked the Dharma. If you leave the neurosis far away and just bring ideas and this view and that view, it's no good. You have to practice Dharma on the spot, as it's a meditation into action. If you don't do meditation into action, you don't do Dharma on the spot, what good is Dharma? It's just an idea then. So therefore, you have to really, practicing Dharma is in your heart. Dharma is not outside, Dharma is in your heart. And most of all, Bodhichitta mind is very important. So, generally it's like that. And now I should give the transmission, otherwise time is getting already 12. So, that's how the generally of Hinayana Mahayana Vajrayana teaching is explanation. Terkadundu. Actually, last time when His Holiness was here, he gave the Terkadundu empowerment. So most of you who were here, you got it. So why do I have to give this?
Some people requested Rinpoche.
Some people requested? No, it's not. There's Terkadundu. Who want Terkadundu? You must have received it last time when you were here.
But not from the magnificence of your presence.
He said, if His Holiness can give, who am I? I'm just like a little dust. So you got that. So let me give the trauma Ngundu.
May I take a look at the Tuk Nundu, please?
Yeah. Which one?
The
Seven
seven treasures.
treasures. Oh, Terkadundu. Yeah. Yeah. So I will give the transmission, the 7 line prayers. Yesterday I said it's very important. And then you can read their commentaries on 7 line prayers. Kurdo kondo mambe guru kiki jesu da dubi chingi lubje shizu sul guru pema sidi yung urgen yuki nubjansa pema kesar dombo la yinzen chugin pema june jesu da kurdo kondo mambe guru kiki jesu da dubi chingi lubje shizu sul guru pema sidi yung urgen yuki nubjansa pema kesar dombo la yinzen chugin udumye pema june jesu Kurdo kondo mambe guru kiki jesu da dubi chingi lubje shizu sul guru pema sidi yung. So now you have the transmission on the 7 prayer, and now trauma window transmission. Dudjom wondering the tissue ne called Jumba Juso, Tomalama Losoa da Paniki, Katangi Semalu Dubish. Kajin to Jishi, you mean the Korvan, the London Tunga, Gunga Lama Tekano, Tajunia Casaman, Tajut and Bemilu. Some letters of Bigundeke, Yanika Utum Varata. Tamjin Beko Banyu to show Simita was somebody Chitim, Chinu Jitim, Tajane, no Jusimji, Kichi, Sundu Udim, Lodashi de Kurginum, using Metachiwa Timbanamakin, Kurwe Dunga Samani, Sumedunga Tabuchimentu, Tanchik, Deve coming Yam Tajan, Tamil Legi, Pergonu Bebe, Kurwe Soliduchi, Lamakin, Legu de Samani, Kana Legin, Milu, Pacha de Dunya Wellness. Yudan de Bruce Bekin Bodu, limiting Gumbola Makin, Capsudovani, Pay, Jekata, Yanguzamo, Rajiram, Sambakacho. To Jikunja, the water make Capsu. Capsicuro Kusum Kadu, Jigun to me to Jikunja, the water make Kur. Capsichu Gumbo, Juro, Sim Kepani Pay, Dogunsipe Solar to Varcha, Cabinet Vision of Gosusu, Dagich and Jusim Ke Lablani. Korvatun Pepal to show, Medipavani, Pay Tonsun Ranjam Kobachi, Randukoba, Zonangepe, Randukoba Summit. Sunye to Java, Nona Pay, Yana the money, Pay Kusum Javanum, Chasel, Lidan Jetum Java Kusum. You better Zotoloja, Namkrikisokuna Jayara, Kana good, Choco good. Ganam Yang Meda so that Taki Gazetova, you know, Malaysian just and yes out of a show. Kusum Kondogum Deni, Pay Chicken, no what Jimmy used to say Patarash. Shinkam number W, so much Pema, the game you did, and a new Tramana Moche, Chi Chani, ye to put on you, to run about him, you got up, Siva Shuro, Pajana, Kindle, what to do, Yigi Bashindu to Venyam, London by Yishik, Memoradu. Barbelon de Juba to Ganide, Ko, Kajurgenan, to Yishi, Hung Tingnaki, Taranga, getting we could be sick in the rhythm. Nedun dictip to Jiki, Pumpotan Jabat, Tam Japamon, and Yise Papa Rasangeta, but I give. Churalongo to Japamo, Marse, Chidurchin, Shavani, Pede, and a Katagir Shik. Medan, Pura de Tripelon to Keto, the Churchuku, Yingiyum Chin Kundo, Samotina, Cherbo, the Jikidungi Jushin, Chinese San Zebai, we take them but think Sigalon to Keto. Jigedamo Chuki Kudanuguni, Tukura Aitam from Yi, Karamara Sewala, Yang, Timmy could be. Was it get out of some Jetum Jiggy, and they were Sekataki Kuru Sepra Gom. Mezer Kurdikali Pam, Harin is a Sarvapam, Shindekuru Yesoha. Mezer Kurdikali Pam, Harin is a Sarvapam, Shindekuru Yesoha. Mezer Kurdikali Pam, Harin is a Sarvapam, Shindekuru Yesoha. Jigda Doje Pam Tuke, Naran Loser Katong, then Tretan, the Babalge, Chune, Danitame, Tukara Timbe, Getile Karbu Yunelungu, Ishiki Konume, Tukara Timbe, Rani Dujepam, Tukara Pam, Marpa Taranga, Getting Kurbe, Zerge, Kamsumki, Pacha, Lenutamje. Sangi Tana Kamsum, Tabeshinda, Langachini, Paramigla. Bezerwarahi, Pam Harin is a Sarvapam, Shindekuru Yesoha. Jigda Gundazama Tuking out in Le was a Trebedatan. Now what them Shugi Yingi, Ranjin to Shik, but I give some. Bezera Warahi, Pam Harin is a Sarvapam, Shindekuru Yesoha, Chinu de Yum, Gundazama Tuka, and was a Tingna Trebedani. To Jepamatoka Tempe, Maraki, Kumboji, to Yunishuku, Ishika Kondome, Tuka Timbetani, Kundosam, to Kara Ayi, Karapa, Taranga, getting Kurbe, Uzerge Kurwa, Yadechim belong to Shin Gawatim Ishiki. Ishiki Ying so Roji Betani, Chentu Gur, Mezer Samenta Bata, Kurde Nimi Delki, Kurde Nyamdeki, Long Chimburik, Be, Sanga Tar. Dharmakaya Samadhi Siddhi A Chinu Detra Trapatan Trivingantu Nyamprasha Laminejuni Peranam the Jugi Injimo, the Jimpur Mebishingumsu, Randi Shetra Marcel Ze, Sayetiku Yumbetanum, Shamikota Rigin, Mepung, but Dungan Guajavu, Tiglon, Gisulama Yundu, Danipel. Savela Maduje Pamago, Chaye Tiku, Yumbe Bento, Namashami, Corta to begin to solo chill passion of weekend to go to Shizum Dante. Simpelanzage, Chivukundas and Munyam Jatu, Takuro Sange, Johnson Brixin, so Matiyunzo, Tilkun, Chujin Sew, Utuyin Agenda Yer Measure, who Lingin Jotabakacho Ling. Negative you mention Yusum Lama Yundu Rinpoche, Kajo woman, Namra Kayuki, using Jingle of Jesus, that you may do no Brazingalo. Nemesis on the Uyungs, Guru Harin is a city whom, Guru Harin is a city whom, Guru Harin is a city whom. Pay the Sunu Sanja Yundu Danipe, cutting Kurmela Rinpoche, Kibla Kulum to Jason. Kizin Payons of better, Kidu Silla to a Paoche, cutting in the cookie, so what so. Tujing is a yin the Kumbakira Shelki, to some Jimmy Breakins go, Dagalu down to Kisarchi. Shazim Shempe, Kalab, Gusum, good Jutabu, think you Kumbakila, ten chow. Kamne Lume Kela, Cabbage, to the Namde Tebula. To some Pugur maybe take a Chasano Silo Yelan de Bing, Tungujagela Jiran, Tadu, Chokoroshin shoe, Parasu, to come Yasu. Tony to Gurje, so I do Solama, Rinpoche, to Jesuji, Shekon Roma, Chingel of Jetu, Cho. Tajeduna never Chingelo, Chivanin, never Chingelo, London like a Berchingelo, Kurva, Shambalo Berchingelo, Gumingula, Kiebra Chingelo, Sumeran Gitu Berchingelo, Chamicula Temperchingelo, Tromelo de Temperchingelo, Imitin, Trace Berchingelo, Charme, Return to Berchingelo. Chukme, Chukzin, Chukme. Chusuk Simperchingelo, Gurme Temperchingelo, Yamingi Junki Berchingelo, Timelama Temperchingelo, Shimingutu Perchingelo, Jimmy Dingito Perchingelo, Nawa Demeto Perchingelo, Namishera Perchingelo, you may send it over Chingelo, two messages in Perchingelo. Yimiko Yute Perchingelo, Gumezo Jinto Perchingelo, Chimene Lugranji, Shaltoni, Kushita Nipel, Ting to show, Wangshi, Lambala. Palama to some Sanji, Pulit and Saiti Bajo, Kupi Woman get up in Lutibekuri, Jurdo Sol. Ta Namir is the Alala Pepe, Palama to some Sanji, I put other Lugiti Bajo, so some woman get minute. Ganon Jogo Chingelo, Tassawan is the Alala Pepe, Palama to some Sanji, Puyit and Tigliti Bajung, took Sharamang Mindune, Simchuki Guru, Chinkilo, Tashigir is the Alala Pepe, Palama to some Sanji, Pu. To me, Bajan the Jerd, Sewajum Mindune, Long Kujibu the Uyunzo, Tashandruze, Alala Pepe. Palamagu Long Jimbo, Tiran and Bardala, Tim, she is a watching Belon to say, she got up. Ang to Yimir, Nang Shunupu Janju, Potakurdinim, Alala, Pepe, Chebit Trebadan, Java, kept the Jingi to Yambrajako, Geo Lexo, Sarva Mangalam. Pe Dagitusum Gezago, Jugus and Yetub Jungo, Komsum Simjem, Malipa, Simjusan Yuchi, Kunjusum Gitan Batang, Kusum Kandojin of Gate, Dajakotan Jabala, Payupuzo Tashi show. Subterranean, Lamrim Danger, Monum, Jackie, Peshira, Shejavaju, so hold Lama Yimjan of Sutaragon, tender to Beque, substantive to Sumsayo, Sonum Jijipa, Kakap, Donum Jinjutungo, set up Kunda, Sanji Rijoki, Kajan True, the end of Jilutomne, Sidan Shiveta, but Mijun. Take Wellam the Joe Parasho, Tinga that it out to Jumling, Chicho Kapicho to Medaging. Rari, she stood the Nerunium. Tober Soa Yingla temperature, Lamiduji, she Kilkudu, Legshu, Monji, Choke, the Gumin. Hanamado, me, but as soon as she, Nancy Yesu, get him down with a tickler and to sober him. Sunju Chosan Doji, Simon, Namke Lonzo, Lamdo, Lombarasho. Ludan Chugijin Berab Dune Nancelan Resim Jungujo, Shujin Tribal Nawajin, Chingi Jodu, Bebe Inzete, Debrijelu, Shigimeko, sitting Yelangundu, Gurbar show, Kalejangum Zuni, Tobishin, be sede lam ki tu da maning na chiwe tu kap chiwe tu pab da ke ting zin gumba miyo ngane po sho rana po khande 마소기 루카르르 체페 두세데 오미 카주 징감 냠가 버라 저달라미도 체버죠 농참마가 탑주 히로가 동지 시럽인 주주메커 냠주로 카갸와 대와침부 대와 냠주로 카갸 비시 대와체 순주도시 징게다 주쇼 제방스모이 람드리 열담도 제베널 바니도 세왕 빠르게 굴웨 우리 jigri ishi durje kanro duwe duwe zangbo treba side ras du okay, so that's the transmission on the Tromangondro, those who want to do Tromangondro, and how to do this practice where you can talk with Jim and Genevieve. They have done trauma practice. You can ask those who want to do Tromangondro. And then when I come back, I will teach on Tromangondro and trauma practice next time when I come. Okay? So then, there's, if you have any questions and answer. Yeah.
When His Holiness was here, we received the empowerments for the 3 roots, the Guru, the Yidam, and the Dakini. Should we practice concise sadhanas of each of the 3 roots every day, or should we focus on the truma?
Of course, there is a blessing, but doing too many sometimes get overwhelming. Then, you know, we start and then sometimes our lives get so busy, then doing this, doing that. It's kind of like a little challenging, especially if you don't have much time. But you must do one thing, and you must do that precisely, and that will contain all the blessing and the practice. So I think the trauma practice is really great. I really want the trauma teaching to spread in the future. And I'm thinking next time when I come, I'm going to give an elaborate teaching on the trauma, and we can all do trauma together. In the meantime, we have the trauma. Yesterday, you know, we talk about it, the melodies and singing by all the nuns, and we have that. Jim, please make that available, and sometime we can show that and, you know, look at that. I think it's wonderful. So if you're doing trauma practice, just focus on the trauma.
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm doing currently.
Yeah, that's good.
And with the 4 feasts?
Yes, whatever you're doing, do that way. Yes, you're welcome.
Rinpoche, this isn't so much a question, but an observation. For all of my years, my entire Dharma career, I've spent with teachers and in centers that are primarily focused on that are within the Vajrayana tradition. And so there was never much encouragement to really investigate what, in fact, the Hinayana tradition was. It was simply sort of dismissed as the Hinayana, you know, it had its own value. And then at one point I decided to read the actual sutras, the early sutras of the Buddha, and to read Abhidharma literature. And I was amazed because I had no idea of the precision and profundity and brilliance of those teachings. Also, I didn't know. I always thought, for example, the 4 immeasurables, because that's like a seed of bodhicitta. I always thought that came out of the Mahayana tradition. So when I realized that the 4 immeasurables were from the Hinayana tradition, I was astonished. And I guess I'm just saying, you know, if anyone is inclined to actually read like the Satipatthana Sutra or the early sutras of the Buddha, or things from that yana, from that tradition, you will be astonished at the brilliance and precision of it. That's just...
Yeah, wonderful. Dharma is very profound. In a way so simple, in a way so much, because it's talking about our emotions. Dharma is a presentation of our own mind, how to deal with our mind. So therefore it's wonderful. Yeah.
Also, I would like to request at some point in the future, if you have the time, if you could maybe compose a short prayer with the accompanying mantra for each of the rupas on the shrine, so that those of us who practice in here can begin our practice after taking refuge with making those connections, and it makes it a richer environment.
Okay.
Rinpoche, I don't know if you can, or maybe you have already to this group, can you describe what the Terka Dundu series of teachings encompasses? I don't really understand.
Terka Dundu, there's 7 treasures of mind come together. It's a practice of Lama, Yidam, and Dakini, all in one. Usually the Lama practice is different, Yidam practice is different, Dakini practice is different. As like, but in essence, they're all one. Because we are talking, there can't be 2 different essences. There can be a different essence of Dakini versus the Yidam essence versus the Lama essence. In fact, all of them comprise into the Lama essence. Without the Lama, there is no Yidam. And in fact, there is no Dakini at the same time. When Padmasambhava was leaving Tibet, and then Princess Saleh and Lady Ishitsogel accompany him on top of the mountain where Padmasambhava was living. And then Padmasambhava opened the mandala of the Vajikilaya. And when he said, where do you want to receive the empowerment from? From the Lama or from the Yidam? And Princess Saleh said, oh, I've seen, I think it was Princess Saleh, I've seen Padmasambhava, you give so much teaching, I receive so many teaching from you. This time I want to receive directly from the Yidam. And then the other, there's another lady, she said, I like whichever is the best. And the lady Ishitsogel said, there is no Yidam beside the Lama, and therefore, I like to receive from the Lama, Padmasambhava, from you. So at that moment, Padmasambhava created the mandala of the Vajikilaya, completely like, visual with the appearance, everything. And then Padmasambhava said, yes, there is no Yidam beside the Lama, so therefore, Ishitsogel received the entire empowerment blessing, and the one who said, I like to receive from the Yidam, didn't receive anything, and one who said, who is the best, Padmasambhava instructed Lady Ishitsogel in the future to instruct her and guide her. So therefore, in the Tantra, the Lama become very important. You see, so therefore, when a person seeks a guru, when a person seeks a Lama, they have to be careful. They have to see, is that Lama really have compassion? If the Lama is knowledgeable or not in the art of Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana, particularly Vajrayana teaching. And one is to check the Lama before one accepts the Lama. According to Tantra teaching, extremely important. And the Lama also have to check the student. Is really a genuine student, can really practice, will follow the path. It's like, let's not talk about Lama. Even you go to a hair salon, they don't accept you sometimes. You need to make reservation. I have that experience. In Friday Harbor in Washington, there's only 2 haircutters. So there was one good one she has upstairs, and so I go to her. Now she said, I don't take walk-ins. She's even put the sign this thing. Anyway, I knocked her. Do you have an opening? No, I don't take walk-ins. She said, I've been 3-4 times in the past, she rejected me all the time. I don't take walk-ins. Like you need to have a special intimate samaya with her, really to receive a haircut. Then I have to go to another place, and you can tell me how good is my cut. So anyway, so then talk about the tantric, relationship. If you read the words of my perfect teacher, it explains qualities of the Lama, what should be there, qualities of the student, what should be there. So once, particularly in the, unlike in the Hinayana and Mahayana, we have to respect anyone who even teaches even 4 lines of Dharma, because they're profound. But someone where one received the empowerment, when we receive the teaching, with instruction, and that one has to be, therefore I said, don't go to Dzogchen. Somebody's teaching, these days Dzogchen teaching, so many lamas, in a way it's not good. Just Dzogchen teachings are reserved for when the genuine student with the genuine lama, you need to see that who gives Dzogchen teaching as the Buddha himself. And that kind of transmission from mind to mind transmission, then is very powerful, including all Vajrayana teaching. People are easy to give Dzogchen teaching and also ready to renounce that master and later say bad things, this and that. And of course, there are also today bad time abuse are taking place also. The lack of teachers themselves not practicing, not meditating, then of course there is that abuse from the teacher side too. And then also student side also, Kali Yuga is sign of passions burning like fire. People ready to judge, judge from just like you read something on Facebook and you can see, how many people just, without knowing anything, our people are ready to jump into conclusion. And that's not how Dharma practice should be done. Dharma practice should be done with Bodhichitta. Dharma practice should be done in a genuine practice. It's a whole different, it's the most powerful thing, when you do. So therefore, Samaya becomes very important. Without the Lama's blessing, especially when you realize Shunyata, ultimate nature, the Dzogchen transfer, all through the blessing of the Ngundur teaching, and all the different, the Guru devotion become extremely important. Let me tell you, when you go and sit and meditate, you just do without a Guru devotion. You visualize the Lama above your head, receive the blessing his body is not like in the form of Padmasambhava or form of any Buddha. And then, because with your human Lama, you have emotions. Sometimes you may say, oh, the Lama is dead. People can judge for anything. If you really meet Shakyamuni Buddha, you may say his ear is too long, or so you can have some little excuse for anything. So there's a certain level of impure perception involved. Therefore, it is to visualize the Lama in the form of Padmasambhava, or inseparable from. Then first you take the blessing, dissolve the Lama into your mind, and then you also remain in meditation. Very powerful when you experience that with devotion. Versus if you just sit and meditate, experience that, you will see that. So therefore, it is said that because it is your Lama who have shown you the way, unfortunately you have not met historical Buddha, you have not met Padmasambhava in personal, or Lady Shitsogyal in personal. And now through your Lama, you are hearing all the teaching and the way to, in your inner mind, your liberation. Therefore the Lama becomes sacred and important. I'm not trying to, grandize as a myself as a Lama ego trip. No, it's just how the practice has been done. So therefore, then you receive the blessing, and then you say it. Then it's very powerful, very powerful. Personally, when I sit, take the full empowerment, dissolve the Lama into one's mind, and one's mind and Lama mind inseparable, you remain in meditation. Then it's a very powerful experience. That's the path of the Tantra tradition. Because you see, that's dependent, relative Lama. Yeah? And the main thing is your own mind has enlightened mind. That is inseparable from all enlightened Buddhas. So therefore, when you bring that, you are Lama who represent the Buddhas, and you remain, that you dissolve that, then you awaken into your own Buddha mind. You know, it's not to say that you are, you know, buying your Lama's mind. Your mind is already the awareness, enlightened mind. It's like blessing the energy, the blessing of the lineage, blessing of the Buddhas, the 3 times into it. And then when you sit, then it's very powerful experience. That's really how it is. So therefore, you see, now times today are different. Now that the student have the time to check the Lama, now the Lama has the time to check. We are all in a fast lane time today. Fast food. You do banking, fast banking. You eat fast food. You know, everything is fast, instant. You know, instant tea, instant this, instant that. So it's an instant time. Nobody has time. Whether we have time or not, you know, the way to judge a Lama is to see that every from 1 to Z perfect is difficult to find. You know, you may have some idea, even that is perfect, but your own mind will judge things. You will see differently. As we see differently every day, the same person we see tens of, maybe hundreds of times we have changed emotion in one day. You like in the morning, you don't like in the afternoon, and you like better in the evening, you see. Like that, same thing in relating on that phenomenal level, you will go through like that. But remember your bodhicitta, remember, you know, and then everything will be fine. You know, and as I said, look, it's important to have pure vision. I said one time to, there was another Dharma practitioner. She's a student of another Lama. So one time, you know, she said she's going through a little tough time. I said, look, there are a lot of wonderful things. And if you have sometimes difficulty with your Lama, have compassion. Cannot go wrong. Have compassion to your Lama too. You know, that's the least way of looking at. You know, then nothing can go wrong. There's nothing can go wrong to anybody if we have compassion to anybody, you see. So that's how really, like, one's way of looking, you know. Of course, it should be more than that, pure vision devotion. But at least the way to stop your mind from losing is to ultimately keep that compassion. So if you cross that, you cross the red line. So I think for anybody, not just Lama, anyone you cross that compassion, you've crossed the red line. You know, you can't justify from that. So anyway, so something like that. What was the question? Why did I say this?
It was about the nature of the Terka.
Yeah, so the Lama practice is so important. And I think in this case, there's 7 tertuns. Now, the lineage prayer is there. I don't remember it right now exactly. But all 7 tertuns, Dharma is just one of this so profound Lama practice. For example, previously known as Dudjom Rinpoche, when I first did my retreat, he told me to do Bodhichitta. Then suddenly one day he changed. I made all preparation. Then he said, no, now you will do. Overnight he changed. Because the first blessing has to come from Lama. So therefore he said, do the Terkadundu practice. I did retreat 2 months in Nepal at that time. He was there. So I did in Terkadundu. Yeah. So something like
that. It's focused on the Lama.
Lama, yes. It's a Lama practice. But there is Yidam, Hayagirwa, and then Dakini is Ishisogyal, all comprised into one. Yeah. Okay, so then so all of you now, please every day do Tonglen practice, do meditation, whatever your individual practice is, do it. And I hold you all in my prayer wherever I am. I'm going for just briefly, and I'll be back as soon as possible. No, actually, I'm just, I will be back soon, And no matter where I am, every day I hold every one of you in my prayer, in all my prayer every day. And you also do really, develop your bodhicitta. apply your practice on the neurosis. That's what you have to do. If you don't do it, you're not doing Dharma practice. So therefore, now you know how to do. And then we will all meet soon, and then I will give, next time I want to give now on the trauma teaching. I think I should give a teaching on trauma. And then of course, Bodhichitta practice, all of them. And Brendan is going to come. He's going to lead meditation teaching. Wonderful, really wonderful meditation master. And so please, all of you do Thursday sitting practice together, have discussions, and then Brendan will come, then I will come afterwards. So in the meantime, I will pray for all of your well-being, health, and you also pray for me, and pray for the world peace. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Genevieve.
Rinpoche, can you give the transmission on the trauma protector practice?
No, that I can't. That is so, His Holiness is given at that time. So those who are here got it. But this is very sacred, just cannot give like that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's do world peace prayer. In the world in general and in this nation, may not in the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience, thus defeat the neurosis.
Birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
So every day when you read the prayer, focus on the meaning in the world in general. You know, see what's happening today in our world. You know, to try to bring your compassionate awareness. When you keep every day, do it once, read once a day, so it keeps your mind, you know, to that state. This is very important. So whatever you do at the end, dedicate the merit for enlightenment and happiness of all being. Then your practice is going very good. Okay? Thank you all. Take good care, and I will all meet you soon when I come back. Thank you. I have to go now. I'm going to Ladakh, because I have to, every year, Sokhsar Rinpoche asked me to lead 100 million Vajraguru mantra practice. So all the nomadic people in the highlands of Tibet and Plateau, it's like about 15,000 feet, 14,500 or something. It's difficult to, you know, but every day I give teaching to the nomads. About like 700 to 1,000 people come. So like for 1 week, 10 days. And so it's like a yearly thing I do. And then I have to go to my monastery in Darjeeling, and Deborah is going to come and teach the monks this year English. We have 100 monks there. So, and then like that, so once I do the circle, finish, then I'll be back. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. So just a few announcements before we go. So